Welcome to Friday. We're swinging open the gateway to your weekend, and on the show, what is a press release? What is a media junket? How do you get TV programs like CTV's Your Morning, Rogers Breakfast Television, or a newspaper like the National Post to spotlight AMI programming? AMI's communications specialist Greg David tells us how and what his day job as communications specialist completely entails. We get all the goods, but I'll tell you something, he's brave. I wouldn't want to come on here and tell everybody what I do for my job. I'd find myself out of work in no time.
This is Kelly and Company.
Thanks for being with us. Kelly MacDonald here, host of the program, and we remind you that Parasport Nation comes up in the second half of this hour, so stick around, but we've got a lot of great content ahead. Nazreen Abdulmajid joining me on the show, and Nazreen and I have a couple of great conversations. We mentioned the Greg conversation, and we're going to get into our first one today in just a moment, but do me a favor. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Kelly & Co. AMI, where Nazreen puts in some amazing work. Got all sorts of stuff coming out, so you don't want to miss it. That's on Instagram and Twitter at Kelly & Co. AMI. Ready to learn about an opportunity for blind racing, all for a good cause? If you're around the Montreal area, maybe you could check it out. Nazreen and I get a chance to have a really cool conversation now. Défi-Vision is a unique annual fundraiser organized by the Mira Foundation. Over 35 blind or blindfolded drivers race around a professional track, guided only by their copilots. It's a fun, powerful way to raise awareness about disability inclusion, while raising funds to support the training of guide and assistance dogs. We're left with participants Tony Labillois and Jean Labbé. Hi guys, welcome to Kelly and Company.
Yeah, hi.
Glad to have you both on board, and I'd love to hear, Niz and I are curious, you two in your work life at Statistics Canada have known each other for a little while, years. So we have to ask, why are you doing this blind car race? We want to start with you, Jean?
Well, it's something that happens in my hometown in Granby, Quebec. I grew up there, and it's for the Mira Foundation. It's an organism that I really support, and doing it with my friend Tony. It's something that we talked about a while ago, and then this year both of us retired, so we said, hey, let's try it.
Wow. I mentioned Tony off the top, blindfolded or blind drivers. Tell us a little bit about your circumstance, because you're the driver, correct? And how you guys know each other through work at Statistics Canada.
Yes. I was born with very low eyesight. For me, it's normal eyesight, but I'm considered legally blind in Canada. I still bike or travel around the world or do all kinds of things in daily life. And I was a senior official with Jean at Statistics Canada until we retire in July 2024. We often socialize, and at some point in one of our conversations, this Défi-Vision came up, and this race because as someone legally blind in Canada, I always wanted to drive. That's one thing, but having been the champion for persons with disabilities in Statistics Canada for 22 years, in addition to my usual responsibilities, and being involved in the Canadian Accessibility Network at Carleton University with more than 135 organizations right now, collaborating in that network from coast to coast, I really care about making sure that we raise awareness in terms of the art of the possible, to show that everything is possible for everyone and that we can all develop abilities. So this race is a really creative, innovative way to raise funds for a very good cause, the Mira Foundation, but also to raise awareness and also to have fun, obviously, because it's always a desire to show how we can develop self-confidence and autonomy in our lives.
Right.
Of course. So have either of you ever participated before?
Nope.
No,
Wow.
first experience.
Are you guys excited?
Oh yes, I mean, I've seen videos of the race. I've looked at all the possibilities in terms of constraints and so on. I mean, we need to stay reasonable. We need to be below 30 kilometers all the time. I'll receive instructions from Jean. We will actually be on a busy oval track with some cars, some safety cars, but also some more than 35 to 40 other drivers that will be also blindfolded and guided by the other person. I mean, this is going to be challenging because I'm used to see a little bit. I'm used to enjoy the scenery. I mean, I was saying to Jean, he should have a GoPro so that I can eventually see what he will have seen during the race from his perspective.
Yes.
And the funny thing is that Tony used to be on the subject matter side, and I was in the IT or operation side. So he was giving me instruction for more than 30 years. Now it's payback.
and the advice that I was given when I participated in this several years back for one of the AMI TV shows, and I did it with the president and CEO of the company, and his message to me constantly was, just don't turn right ever. Don't turn right. You just stay turning left. Just stay turning left. And he guided me through there. What is the nervousness, Jean, that you have? And then I would love to hear the nervousness Tony has, if any. What is primary concern? I mean, obviously, you're well researched.
Well, you know what? Like, I'm not nervous at all. Okay, I trust Tony. Like, this experience is about trust. It's about communication, teamwork. So I trust him. Okay, so and the funny part is we had a little evening, like a bunch of friends this weekend, and Tony was there, and everybody was saying, well, I hope, Jean, you're going to still do it because nobody here wants to do it. And yes, I am still doing it.
Oh, man. Tony, do you have any concerns?
Well, my real goal is the race before the starting line. This is really to raise as much funds as we can for the Mira Foundation. Yeah. My goal is really to have fun during the event. So I'm with Jean. I trust Jean. We've known each other for years. Patience is something I acquired through life. So it will be a good test of patience during
sure.
event. And it's like the ultimate test for friendship and trust and collaboration. It's like an event in itself. Again, that raises awareness, that raises the art of possible in terms of what can be made accessible, what can inclusion mean to the ultimate degree, I think. And we're nervousness. I mean, nervousness is something we will face probably on that day, but it's more going to be the adrenaline and the thrill because we're very competitive. We hope to win this thing, and
that's awesome.
We hope to win the fundraising part and to win eventually the race. Even though we've not participated, we're looking for ways to practice or to make sure we fine tune our communication approach, and we still have to do that. If you have tips, Kelly or others here, or if you have ways that we should use, let us know.
I had the nervousness of having the responsibility of the president and CEO of the company in kind of the passenger seat beside me. So that put a bit of pressure, and it was finding that person, and it was suggested to me, hey, why don't you get David to do it? I had thought another coworker could do it, and the marketing said, hey, why don't you get David to do it? So poor David had no real choice. He had to do the smile, and sure. I think it took its toll on his wife, concerned. Nisreen, do you know anyone at the company that if you were put in this position blindfolded, that you would say, if you had to pick somebody, do you trust any of them, like Andy Frank or, well, obviously, Matt Agnew or somebody like that could do it?
You know what? There's too many people. Like, I would trust. Yeah. I think there's just too many to name.
That's the way to stay on the good side of everyone right now.
Yeah, right? I'll keep it safe here.
what does race day itself look like for you? What do you know is going to happen when it comes to turnout? The event itself. How will it run?
Okay, so we'll get there a few hours before the race starts for us. They're going to give us instruction, give us the cars, show us how it's going to happen. Okay, on the track. Then on that night, they're our event is, I'll say, at the intermission. So there are races before, then it's our 30-minute event, and then it's another race after. So
Nice.
When it's time for us, I'm going to be driving the car on the racetrack, position it, and then we'll switch drivers, and that's when the fun begins.
Wow.
Wow.
That's great. I love that it's in the midst of the other event, that you're part of that, and that what a way to bring so much attention to the cause.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The goal to bring as much attention as possible to the cause and to try to do those 10 laps that we have to do within the half hour. And among the obstacles that there will be on the track, obviously they will have selected some cars near their end of life, and they will have stripped them from the lights and other things that could break on the track. And so it's to stay safe for everyone, but to also have an experience, not just for us, but for the thousands of people that will be in the crowd.
Wow.
Yeah.
There might be a
What
crash
is
in
it?
Nisreen. They would send you out just to cause problems.
Oh my God. Don't trust me.
But they put some wrecked cars on the track just so we cannot go too fast. They have sheriffs as well. So if Tony has lead in his boots, he's going to be stopped by some of the sheriff and slowed down.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's just so many obstacles here.
Oh my
John,
gosh,
you have to
Roscoe
watch
P.
for
Coltrane.
John, you have to watch for the speed. You're the one responsible for that.
That's
part.
it.
I'm just pushing on the pedal.
I think
They'll
that's
give you-
hard,
they'll-
just keeping an eye on the speed. Yeah.
I have to, but I have to say in my personal life, I don't have a good track record.
Exactly.
Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane, pull you guys over, give you a double ticket. Guys, can you tell us about getting involved? We're sitting here saying, gosh, this sounds fun. How can we get involved?
We have a web page for fundraising, and you can get involved by clicking on the link that will be probably posted on the screen, or actually by just typing Tony Labillois and Jean Labbé and Mira. You can type one of our two names, and if you type Mira and Tony Labillois or Jean Labbé, you will hit our webpage, and then you can donate with a credit card very easily. The amount that you care to give, and all amounts count. There's nothing too small, nothing too big either. If you know someone who wants to sponsor our car, like AMI or another company that is listening, we're looking for sponsors. My goal is to reach as much as we can, because this is all used for Mira Foundation. This is all used for raising and giving dogs across Canada. The Mira Foundation gives more than 200 dogs per year, and they give them to people with vision impairment, with mobility impairment, or with or being on the autism spectrum as well. So the assistants or guide dogs change the lives of people. They give confidence, they give autonomy, they help people having full participation in our economy and our society. So I really care about that. So if people can donate and spread the word about this challenge and make sure that we win that race before the starting line, for me, that's what counts. Even if I stay in a traffic jam and on the track, I'll still laugh with John, as long as we have as much support and as many people being aware. Because one way to get your awareness is to get your money, because then we know you really care about this, and the more hits we get on that page, the better. Thank you very much.
So you need more people in your corner, even if you're caught up in the corner. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it very much. Really fun. July 4th is the date. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome.
It'll be 36 years since I started at Statistics Canada, and probably more than 25 years since I'm at Labbé.
Wow. Guys, really wonderful. Glad for this story. Thanks for coming on and sharing with us. Certainly good luck, all 10 laps, and of course the major goal, the fundraising. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And if you want to see us again after the race, we're there if you wish.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. We've been visiting with participants Tony Labillois and Jean Labbé. They're going to be doing this event on the 4th of course, proceeds going to the Mira Foundation. Man, what a fun time. We'll talk about it in just a second here. I just want to mention, if you've got comments, questions, queries about it, check out our podcast and, give us a rating and review. We always want to hear from you, so interact with us. You can do that also on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube page. And, of course, you can always drop us messages. I'll give you that info in just a little bit. But I have to ask Nisreen, and I'm going to invite Greg David in here on this conversation here. Okay, Greg, welcome. Niz, I asked you, who would you pick to guide, to be your co-pilot? But I should really have done it this way and asked you, would you even do this?
The question is, do I even trust myself to do this? Okay, that's the question. And to be fair, I don't trust myself. I don't even trust myself without being blindfolded. So I can only imagine people trusting me into doing that. So that's a no. I would not try this.
Oh, my goodness.
Maybe if there's, I don't know, if there's nothing around, I don't know, maybe for 5 seconds, I would want to kind of experience just a very short time.
Yeah, not with cars left on the track as booby traps or sheriffs chasing you down. Greg, would you be the co-pilot? Would you be navigator, even with the fears of Roscoe P. Coltrane? I knew you'd get that. Chasing you down on the track?
Yeah, I would be navigator for sure, because I think that I'm good when it comes to describing, because my work at AMI, I've learned how to do description. So I think that I would be good at that. But to be honest, I think I'd like to try it with somebody else as a navigator, and
driving.
Yeah, do the driving thing and just see how that would work. Because as you were talking about yourself doing it with David, I think it would just be fascinating to learn how, people describing how other people do with describing what's happening or what I should be doing.
Yeah, I think what David felt too, and I don't want to speak for him, but
fear.
It's also in the time, exactly, and how you spit out the words as you're trying to give the direction.
Matters.
What? Yeah, it does. It really does, Niz.
That's so much pressure. I can't.
Yeah,
I'm not good under pressure too. And I would explode.
And for people that want to watch that video, if you go to the AMI YouTube and search Kelly and David, it's still there, and you can see the video and you can hear the fear in David's voice as he's explaining what to do. It's a fun segment to watch.
It was.
I love that.
We played it on the show last year. We ran it. We were talking to Mike Smith, and it was just one of the things that I think that's what we did it, and it was just a blast. It really was. Niz?
Our Greg David, communications specialist here at AMI, joins us to talk about everything TV and entertainment. And with the debut of a brand new series called We Were Broncos coming to AMI TV and AMI Plus on May 26th, he's here to pull back the curtain on how he does a major part of his job. So basically, what do you do? What's your main role as communications specialist?
As Paul Daniel said to me once, why am I here? So in other words, Greg, what are you doing here?
Yeah. How do I justify my existence? Well, so a major role of my job as the communications specialist at AMI is to spread the word about who we are as a company and what we do and the content that we create. And so whether that's something on AMI audio like Kelly and Company or Double Tap, a newer returning TV series like We Were Broncos, which we're going to talk about in a minute, or even where people can find out more about AMI as a company, or where you can listen or watch us on your cable, where you can follow us on social media, where you can watch us on YouTube. That's a major part of my job, is just saying, hey, we're here, we're creating content, and now here's how you find us. Now come and give us, a little bit of your love. And for the most part, the first step that I do in spreading the word about AMI is to write a press release. And so a press release is something where you are talking about the program or the person or whatever it is. So in the case of We Were Broncos, it's a brand new show that's going to be available on AMI TV and AMI Plus. What time is it going to be on? Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern on AMI TV, or you can stream it for free on AMI Plus. Who's starring in it? Ryan Strzezinski, who is a member of the Humboldt Broncos junior hockey team, and was one of the people that suffered that horrible bus crash, and it ended up that he was that he's now paralyzed from the neck down. So the story and what the story is, and the story is about him figuring out what the next thing in his life is going to be. And after being turned down for sledge hockey, he is going for wheelchair basketball, and the goal is to be on the Canadian wheelchair basketball team that goes to the LA Paralympics. So I put all of that into a press release because I'm sending that out to members of the media, saying this is a really fascinating and interesting story that I think that you should cover on your television show, in your newspaper, on your podcast, or in your magazine. So please, I can help. I can get Ryan to talk to you. I also include images from the show, and a trailer, so a teaser trailer that kind of gives you a 30-second quick story. So the press release is really the very first thing, and it's my first foot in the door to pitching to the media. How
with the press release, Greg, do you temper, especially obviously for people out there taking any journalism, broadcasting, marketing, and knowing that these things are going to be part of their life in some form, to either read, deliver, or create? How do you temper how much you need the information, where, who, what, everything like that, with the flair that everyone wants to have in it to attract someone? Because I know the other stuff, pictures, some of the other things, that's all part of the press kit that comes, but to grab somebody right off the bat, how do you temper it? Because as you write them over and over and get into your 6th, 10th, 20th year writing them, is there something you remind yourself all the time? Don't be too wordy, don't be too flowery. What is the things that you find you learn over time to make what you consider a good press release?
It's a great question, and really it depends on whoever you're pitching to, because after the press release goes out to, I send it out through Canada Newswire, and it goes across the country. Then I reach out to specific journalists that I have a relationship with, or segment producers on television shows. But if we're talking about We Were Broncos specifically, it is always, regardless of the press release, it's always the who, what, where, when, why, and how. Those are the ways that you get in the door and you pique a journalist or reporter's interest. With the Humboldt Broncos bus crash, it's something that everybody in Canada knows about, and often, and it also became a worldwide story. So everybody can remember back to that day when they found out on April the 6th of 2016 or 2018. I should know this because I wrote the press release about when it happened. So there's that life story in addition to the sports story, right? It's relatable to everybody, whether you're an athlete or you're a mother with a couple of kids and one of them happens to be in junior hockey. Everybody can relate to that. So that's how I handle it. And the other pitch for We Were Broncos specifically is that we were hoping to fly Ryan. He lives in Alberta. We were hoping to fly him into Toronto for a media day, and so we were saying, he's available and can come into your television studio or your radio studio and talk about this. And so then what I do after I send out that press release, Kelly, is again I follow up with media, like I mentioned, and we knew with this story that there was going to be interest from Toronto media.
Oh yeah, looks like a lot.
Yeah. And so when we started to hear back from Toronto media saying, yes, we would love to have him in, we had said we were floating the day May the 20th, so next Tuesday out to media. And this was a month ago. Like, we have to work way in advance because then you need to book flights. So once media said, yes, we'd like to book him for an in-studio interview, then myself and members of the marketing and communications team, we start to play a little bit of Tetris. Okay, what time, what show, what time do you need him there? But once we had a couple of national broadcasters involved, then we're like, okay, we're booking the flights for him, which is a whole other thing, and booking a hotel room. Ryan's a wheelchair user, so now you're having to reach out to the flights and the hotels to make sure that, there's accessibility involved, and, a roll-in shower at his hotel room and that type of thing. So we had unprecedented interest in We Were Broncos, and we've actually booked Ryan for 7 media interviews on the 20th. We're starting with breakfast television on City TV at 7:50 a.m., and then we're heading over to CTV Your Morning. Then we're going to Sirius XM, where he's going to do 3 interviews at Sirius XM. And then we're going to be going to CBC for an interview in the afternoon. And then we're following up by having him throw out the ceremonial first pitch at the Blue Jays game. But he's also going to be in the booth at the Blue Jays pregame show to talk to the guys before the game starts. So it turned out to be, really work out. But on the other hand, another part of my responsibility is to be super annoying, following up, to always following up with those media contacts and saying, hey, listen, I pitched you a few days ago about this. Yeah. So it had to be really annoying, which I hate doing, because I hate it when people are annoying to me or kind of bugging me about things. But you have to do that, because my job is to, like I said, spread the word about what we do. And you can only do that by giving people a nudge.
Yeah. And you really need the skills for networking. You build relationships. Part of that being super annoying is building relationships, and that's how it works, honestly. But
yeah,
this is amazing.
You're right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. You're right. It is all about relationships and building those relationships. So yeah, it's all going to go great on May the 20th.
So do you have to be there?
Awesome.
Are you going along with Ryan, or who?
Yep. I'll be coming into Toronto on Monday. I'm picking him up from the airport. He's requested water and beef jerky as his snack after the flight. So we'll have that in the car on the way down. We'll be free on.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, he'll be free to do whatever on Monday, and then we'll be up early on Tuesday. And he's flying out Tuesday night right after the Jays game.
Wow.
That sounds amazing, though.
It
honestly.
does. What a nice whirlwind day doing it. It's so tremendous. And Greg, lots of attention. And I think it's been wonderful what's been happening with the interest in media for our AMI content, but mostly disability content. And we have to keep the fires burning on this.
We do.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks so much for having me.
Great stuff. Join us 2 Fridays from now for our next TV chat with Greg David.
You had time to think about it. So who would be your co-pilot?
I would
AMI
choose
staff.
Matt. Let's be real.
That's
Okay.
good. That's good.
Yeah.
I would think Matt
I
would
hope
be
Andy
excellent
doesn't
doing
message me and be like, "Are you serious?" Yeah.
Mr. F couldn't.
No,
It
I
would be too
choose
hard
Matt.
on him. It would be hard on Andy.
I
right?
feel like
it would be
find,
hard on him.
He's good with words. Okay. I feel like
He is.
I feel like I would trust him.
He wouldn't panic either, even when you were headed for the wall.
Yeah. Exactly.
I told you to reach out to us, folks. Email us at kellyco@ami.ca. Give us a call, 1-866-509-4545. Nazreen and I will return to the program to your YouTube channel. I guess our YouTube channel via your YouTube watching or on AMI Audio on Tuesday. On our next show, Emily Chambers gives us the inside scoop on the upcoming Abilities Expo in Mississauga, Ontario, from hands-on demos to the latest assistive tech to dance, sports, and community connections. We get all the highlights of the Expo on Tuesday, an event celebrating disability, pride, and innovation. Have a great holiday weekend now. Get out of here, will ya?
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly & Company. Follow us on all social media. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.